Well, he don't want to sign because I'm saying, go ahead.
Mr. Fisher, what does the charter say?
What-
I'm asking a simple question. What does the charter say?
It says-
The charter says that the mayor is to sign past resolutions. Nowhere does it say, and gosh knows I've managed to upset a couple mayors along the way, that you have to agree with it, that you have to be a part of it.
I'll refer you to my attorney.
I don't need an attorney.
Well, I have an attorney.
What does the attorney
and
say?
I intend to consult with him and,
That was a resolution, not an ordinance.
okay. It says specifically in the resolutions that they're subject to.
He made the suggestion at the last meeting to upkeep the website. All you need to do is sign the paper.
That's why members are of different parts of the boards, because one person can't do it all.
What's your opinion,
We
lawyer?
have 5 members of the board.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Mr. Chairman.
Another legal opinion needed.
I haven't been asked to look at
That's
that.
a
Oh,
attorney. Go
he's asking
ahead.
you, he's paying you. Give us your opinion. He's asking you, he's paying the bill, right?
Vince, you're not a part of this town.
Oh, yeah? So a lot of people on your signatures.
You're not a resident of this town.
I am. And I asked the same question of the attorney. Why shouldn't he sign it?
I will figure out whether I am required to sign it or not by legal advice. So that settles that matter. If you want to do it,
I'm asking for legal advice right now.
Is there a timetable set on that?
well, you'll have to ask the town attorney.
Oh.
This is my attorney.
Oh, you got 2
Oh,
of
wait a minute. Whoa, Mr. Fisher. Let's stop. Okay? There's a lot of people don't like what I'm about to say. But this going back and forth between attorneys is going to stop this town. Now, Mr. Fisher, you won the election. There's no doubt you deserve to be the mayor. But you're acting like a 2-year-old child. I can't say it because I'm worried about this. And Mr. Fisher, we have a charter. I abided by that charter whether I liked it or not for 6 years.
I
And
think
you have to abide by it also.
I think you're haranguing me, and I think that's out of order.
Wait a minute, one more thing. Are you gonna tell me you're smarter than me?
Oh, he's smarter than everybody.
These 2 gentlemen should be ejected from the meeting.
Why? The citizens.
I know. Mr. Martin, you haven't said a word yet.
That's a polite way of talking.
Excuse me, but I've been seeing all this.
Mr. Mummy.
Mr. Campbell, Mr. Fisher is running this meeting,
When it's your
and
turn.
I'm gonna have my
You're
say
speaking out of turn.
in spite of him. Now, Mr. Fisher, at the last meeting, you got the opinion of the town attorney. And the town attorney told you that you, as a weak mayor, do not have veto power. And that you must sign the resolutions and the ordinances that are duly passed by this board. Now, if you don't care to do that, then I suggest to the board that you pass a resolution that allows the vice mayor to sign the resolutions, and I'm sure Mr. Carey will agree with me that that's perfectly legal.
Well, we're not in a trial here. I didn't think we're in
You're making.
Brought your
You're
lawyer.
enough lawyers to be in one.
Okay. Are there any other comments? First of all, I'll get the list. Okay, the first person will be Keith Campbell. Keith Campbell.
You reserved that spot for him, by the way.
Thank you, Mayor Fisher. I just wanted to let the people know, the community, that, and the commissioners know that yesterday I delivered 2 petitions to the commissioners in the town of Rising Sun. I just wanted to let them know that I did receive receipt from the town from Pam Haynes, one of the town workers, that they have received. And being so basically now that Mr. Fisher's attorney has told us that what you passed wasn't legal, so we did have 371 signatures on the petition stating that they wanted a referendum. So we done it the legal way. It was done within the 20 days, so we're good as far as that goes. The other petition, well, I had it stamped yesterday. The other petition was in reference to the removal of our town administrator, Acaba, which there was 200 and some plus signatures received on that one also. So I guess we'll be waiting to see what type of action is taken on that. As far as I'm concerned, after listening to what he said tonight, as far as the attorney, they're really not, what you did was illegal in the first place, so.
That would be his opinion.
That's, well, and I'm gonna like to say this to everybody out, that's right, and when it's my turn to talk, okay, it's my turn to talk.
Are you putting a limit on?
And I think that we should all be polite here in reference to when people are up here speaking, people in the crowd aren't talking, people are waiting as polite people, like we should be, till it's their turn to get up here and speak, and that's the way we should carry out the meeting. Instead of one person yelling over here, this person yelling over here, okay? This person making comments out of will, and this person here making comments out of will, okay? And if we want to carry out a meeting and look like we're, a real town, let's carry out an adults, let's carry out the meeting like we should, okay? Rather than fighting all the time here. There's legal issues here that we all know that we're involved in, and everybody has two sides of the coin, okay? So let them voice their side, we'll voice our side, and then we'll go from there. And if the majority of the people agree with the petitions, then that's the way we should run this town. The people run the town, and that's the way the government should be ran. When we start letting the people, when the commissioners run the town, then we got a major problem here, okay? That's all I'd like to say. Thank you very much.
Section 2-111 of the ordinances says that people have 10 minutes to speak, not 3 minutes. But please try to be as brief as you can, because we don't want to be here all night. So Barbara Lowe is the next person to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. My name is Barbara Lowe, and I'm a 23-year resident and an active registered voter of the town of Rising Sun. Yes, it's 43 Pearl Street. In regard to the passing of ordinance number 2012-03 and resolutions 2012-06 and 07, I believe the petition for referendum must be upheld. This has nothing to do with who I voted for, which I'll be completely transparent and tell everybody I voted for Mr. Money. It doesn't matter who I believe is a good person or a bad person, who's a supposed liar or an honest ape. This has to do with the way that government is supposed to work in a democracy. That the ordinance and resolutions were passed in a closed emergency meeting after the last election and prior to the swearing in of the new mayor were clearly meant to sabotage the newly elected official. In accordance with the Maryland Municipal League, of which the town of Rising Sun is a member, there are not supposed to be closed meetings regarding any town matter, including town employee issues. That the past town administration would take it upon itself to enact the amendments to the ordinance and charter which took away the privileges that past mayors have had and gave them to the town administrator without holding an open meeting for the public, I believe is outrageous. The election is over. There has been a count and a recount of votes. It is time to put the past behind us and move forward. Our town has been engaged in controversy amongst its elected officials for as long as I can remember. It's time to change this. As residents, we need to stand up as a collective body and say, enough is enough. Let's restore the governing abilities to the mayor. Let's get the water and sewer issues resolved once and for all. Let's run our town in a professional and cost-effective manner. Let's see viable economic growth in commercial areas instead of empty storefronts. Let's please put our egos aside, place principles before personalities, and serve our town selflessly and transparently for the good of each other and for our town. I, for one, would like to see the town administration place an emphasis, on section C-16-1 of the town charter, which states, "The commissioner shall have the power to pass all such ordinances not contrary to the Constitution and laws of the state of Maryland or this charter, as it may deem necessary for the good government of the town, for the protection and the preservation of the town's property, rights, and privileges, for the preservation of peace and good order, for securing persons and property from violence or destruction, and for the protection and promotion of the health, safety, comfort, convenience, welfare, and happiness of the residents and the visitors in this town." Although, and I'm glad to hear that we may have a fall fest, from what I've seen, we rarely have visitors in our town anymore. We have one town-sponsored function a year, which is Sunfest. Seems that a lot of community functions are sponsored by Tom Connolly, the owner of the Sun Pharmacy, who ironically no longer has a vote. It was rescinded by the last administration, as he is merely a business owner, employer, and taxpayer, but not a resident. Thank you.
Jason Sneeden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jason Sneeden. I live at 5 East Main Street in Rising Sun. I was going to yield my time, however, I'm sorry if you'll excuse me, I've missed the past few meetings. And Commissioner Marion, the resolution for you to operate Facebook and as well as the website, that was the entirety of the resolution. It wasn't anything else, I guess, for lack of a better term, earmarked into there or anything? Or, so I mean, and please don't take offense to this, Mr. Mayor. You know, I know we've had disagreements before, and you've always been respectful for me. I appreciate that. But as a resident, I don't seem to understand why it would be a problem, why there would be any harm in Mr. Marion running that, Commissioner Marion running that. And that's just a concern of mine. You know, again, it's not a personal attack, but I'm not sure.
The resolution didn't specifically address the website.
It doesn't address the website then?
No.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen it, but if that's what it is that it is for the website, I don't see any harm in that. And a lot of people, younger people like myself, do get our information through the internet. You know, don't necessarily, I have a full-time job. I'm away from town a long time. And about the only way I get to communicate with my family most of the time is through Facebook, text messages, and things like that. The only reason I knew that we were going to have this meeting here, because I missed the past several meetings from when it was at Town Hall, was because of Facebook, and one of my Facebook friends notified me of that. So it's something that is nice to have, you know, for citizens, or, you know, us, people that attend.
I encourage you to do it.
Well, is he not obligated to wait and to do that until you sign it, or?
Okay, we're going to sign.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Tracy Jones.
I was just simply going to say exactly what this gentleman before me said. Thank you.
Okay. Vince Simons.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I discussed with you out front there, I was trying to put a positive spin on everything since there's so much.
What's your address?
25 Beaver Court, Rising Sun, Maryland. But since there's been so much turmoil and stuff in the town, it's trying to do some good press for once around here. And in the town hall, there's this document that was published back in 1996, and it's a community information guide, Rising Sun. And inside of it, there's a lot of different information in history and a lot of good things about Rising Sun that's entered different parks, different churches, and even has a map which probably needs to be updated as well, since I think there's a farm that's been annexed into the town map as well. And the advertising is a bit dated on it as well. But I was trying to see if Mr. Mayor, since he's been around town probably longer than most of us have been, have Bob and maybe Travis to get a little young spin on it as well, maybe make it a little bit more contemporary, to get a little more young folks maybe that might be wanting to read it. And Milton, he's a history buff. I thought he'd be another good person to try to contribute to this as well. And it's also good to kind of work together as a team, and maybe that might bridge some gaps there in some relationships. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I would welcome you guys to participate, and I'd like to get a final word from you guys if you'd like to participate or not later.
No, wait a minute. Yeah, Augie Pearson. Part of your
Augie Pearson, 102 Little Brick Court, Rising Sun, Maryland. First of all, I apologize for the outburst, okay? But I will tell you this. For those of you who have come to the meetings, you will know that I spoke my mind, whether the mayor or the other commissioners liked it or not. That's what you're supposed to do in a democracy. Now, where do I begin on this water subject, folks? I'm asking you all to be extremely, extremely careful in how you want to deal with the water. There are more things to this than what is showing on the face of a spreadsheet. Mr. Fisher, I'm reminding you, this is a public meeting, and it is official. Have you met with anyone from Frapple's organization?
No.
No. Have you been advised not to meet with anyone from Frapple? Yes, okay. You will abide by that, will you not?
I will.
Thank you.
Brought that up.
Well, what brought that up, folks, is the fact that we're talking about changing the water, okay? And we have to be extremely careful in doing this with the federal lawsuit still against us. We do not want to give the opportunity for the judge to reopen 5 counts that are against us.
Augie, you're out of order because that has nothing to do with my proposal for the water system, so.
It's not out of order.
Mr. Fisher, I feel qualified, and I would like anyone here who would like to dispute that I did not serve for 5 years while we were developing this and understand more things than you can tell, because as the lawyer will tell you with MML, there are laws that prohibit the discussion of things. No matter how many times I sat there and wanted to tell you things, we can't. Our hands are bound legally. Now.
But that's not relevant.
Wait a minute, he gets to say whatever he wants to.
Well, Mr. Fisher, it is, because you're looking to change what has been said. You know, folks, you want to piss away $600,000, be my guest, because that's just about what we have invested to get to this point with the water system. That's money, if we change, we do not get back. I'm not making this up. This has been discussed for years. You've had town meetings. You were invited to town meetings. I will say one thing. The last month has been phenomenal for getting people to town meetings. But look what it took. You know, this is not the way this should be going right now. I don't agree with Mr. Fisher on everything, but I do agree with him on some things, okay? That's just the way it is. For those of you who have been to these meetings, you know that I didn't agree with Mayor Cox. But business still went on. It has to, whether you like it or you don't like it. You know, Mr. Fisher, and that's why my outburst there was, I apologize for that, but it was true. You have to sign things whether you like them or not. My gosh, could you imagine every bill the president didn't sign because he didn't like it? It's the way business is. Mr. Campbell, I have something to say to you, but I would like to say one thing very quickly. Thank you very much for taping this stuff. For one thing, for those of us who miss it, we can get it. But also, it makes it very hard for people to deny saying what they said. Okay? Mr. Campbell, last week you said you lived in this town for 52 years.
That's correct.
Why couldn't you run for commissioner?
I'm going to say this to you all, okay?
Mister, I asked a
I'm going to
question.
answer your question. If you let me answer the question, you be quiet for a second, okay? I have lived either in this town or around this town, or my family have owned property in this town for over 100 years. I didn't just come from Baltimore and come to this town, okay? I've been here. And if you can ask any of the people in this town, that I've walked these streets for many years. Right there is a man right here that knows how long I've been here. I mowed his mother and father's grass.
I'm not disputing that.
Yes, you are, because you just asked me if I lived here for 52 years. I said, and out of this quote, that I lived in this area in Rising Sun for 52 years.
No.
There's your answer.
Mr. Campbell, you didn't.
Now, this ain't an argument between me and you.
You don't have the facts. When you have the facts,
This is
back with
between
the
me and you.
facts.
If you'd like to speak to me personally, you can.
Quote, I've lived for 52 years in Rising Sun.
There you go. Well, this is the Rising Sun area. It's a 21911 area code. Well, how do you got
You
that?
lived in Port Deposit.
And the ex-mayor
All
said,
right,
yeah, the
that's
ex-mayor
it.
said
That's
that
it.
he-
Here you go, Mr. Fisher.
See, that's what I don't want to get into with you. If you'd like to speak to me personally, you can.
Mr. Knudsen. Hello, everybody. Yeah, let's smile a little bit. You know, we haven't had it right. But I'd like to speak about something no one spoke about before, and that is this petition to get rid of our town administrator. I think anybody who sat here and listened to the job he's done for us cannot agree that we don't have the best town commissioner or town commissioner in the whole state. You know, and what we hear is just a small part of what he does. I mean, I can't, when he first came on, I said, oh, the salary's too high. He earns double that because he's working all the time for Rising Sun. He doesn't live in Rising Sun, I know, but he works for this town. And he works hard and diligently, and folks, I cannot believe that anybody would even think about getting rid of him. He's the thing that holds this town together. He knows everything about the town, and he works hard for us. That's all I want to say, but folks, I want to support him 100%, 150% because he deserves it. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name's Rick Braun. I live at 307 Ryan Drive in Rising Sun. And I ain't gonna top none of this. I'm not gonna touch it. But I do want to thank Osborne for the tree removal stuff on the side. It's gonna help a lot of people. I have another question for Malcolm. I asked you last meeting about the water bills. Have you done anything about that yet? Those little cards that get caught in other people's mail?
Yeah, we're working on that, sir.
Okay, because I got one the other day that wasn't mine, it was the neighbor's up the
I got a
street.
little part, I got mine this week too.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Okay, then another thing I'd like to try to do in the town is in front of Brumfield's Barber Shop, the street.
I'm sorry.
The parking spot in front of Brumfield's Barber Shop. Can we make that a handicap?
That's a great idea. I was thinking of that when they were talking about handicapped entrance.
I was coming out of Washington Auto and the guy was in a bad cane, he parked around the corner. And he was in that rainstorm and I had to get him in Washington Auto and bring him down and get him in the Brumfield shop.
We'll look into that for sure.
And there's another thing too I'd like to say, is the parking spot that's out front of the town hall.
Yes.
Could that be changed to a handicap? And then take the handicap on the side of the police department and make that a regular parking spot?
And that makes a lot more sense because I can tell you from experience, getting into that parking space beside the police car is near impossible.
But I think the issue, Mr. Braun, with the handicap space by the police department is that that's where the ramp is. That's why they did it that way, because the handicap ramp is right there by the handicap space.
Yeah, but sometimes when the other cars are parked in there, it's hard to get the car and turn it in and turn it around, especially if you're an elderly person.
Then why don't you just make them both handicapped? Because people that can walk in the parking lot.
You know.
There's a curb cut right in front of that parking.
Well, just check it out. Yeah, see what we can do. And then there's a blank spot in front of that used to be a parking spot years ago. Is that feasible to make that into a parking spot? In front of the barber shop, in front of the old
I think we
salon?
took a couple of the parking places off of the street because of the issue of seeing, when we have, if you have a larger vehicle parked there, like a SUV or a truck in that parking space, that when you come out of Walnut Street to either go straight across or make any turn, you can't really see the traffic coming from the light towards you, and
Well, it's on the opposite side of the street. Yes, it is, it's on Brumfield side. You come out of Walnut. Oh, you're talking about coming out the opposite way?
Well, now, yes.
Okay, all right, I see what you're
The
talking
way
about.
I come out when I'm driving,
Right.
you know, I come down Cherry to Walnut, come to Main Street at the stop sign.
Right.
I think that parking place was removed because of the number of accidents right there at that intersection for people coming from Cherry Street onto Walnut and across Main.
Okay.
Or turning on Main, because if there's someone parked there, you really can't see them coming, and sometimes, once they go through the light, they ignore it.
Okay.
But I appreciate your concern on that, but I think that's why that was taken.
Okay, well, you put one back, so that's the one, that's the one I'm talking about, making handicap.
We can probably-
Okay, that's all I wanted, thank you.
You're welcome.
And George, you do a good job.
Tom Mulaney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. This is going to sound very coincidental, and I promise you that it is.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Thomas Mulaney, 14 East Main Street. I'm here to speak about the agenda at these meetings. It seems to me that some of the items on the agenda should be rearranged to better serve the citizenry. I believe that the presentation of any resolutions, ordinances, or amendments should be immediately be followed by citizen input or citizen questions, and a vote on same should be scheduled for the next town meeting. This would allow the town residents to voice any concerns that we may have before a vote takes place and speak to any and all commissioners concerning the proposals. It is my sincere hope that you consider this rearrangement of the agenda. Thank you very much.
Oh, I know, but it's enough. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay, Brenda Maynard.
Brenda
Brenda Milady, I live at 33 Louise Court. Now I'm gonna talk town business. I have had a leak at my water, they come down, I was on my way to pay the water bill. They were on their way to shut it down. They shut my water off, the pipe broke inside. This has been in April. The water is still leaking in my yard. You step in it, you sink. There's bees have nested in it. I have made I called 4 different times to the town. It is still leaking. Talk about wasting water. Down in Valley View, we have campers parked on public streets. Are they allowed to be parked on public street even though they have a legal tag?
As long as they're less than a ton.
The one that's down there now is drivable. I mean, it's a big one. I don't know the tonnage. I think that needs to be looked into, and a lot of PA tags are still down there. And concerning the bridge to Richardson Park, that was brought up a long time ago by Miss Sandy, a long time ago, and that's been brought up before.
It was here, it was last, not this fall, but last fall,
No.
and Calvin and I,
Sandy.
I wasn't elected until, I didn't take my first office until July, so it was.
But this was brought up a long time ago.
I wasn't here then, I'm sorry.
Um,
But I did look into it.
Okay. The sidewalks in Valley View, was there any grants? There at one time, there was something in the paper about there was possible grants where sidewalks were going to be paid for. Some property owners had to pay, some didn't. Has that ever been resolved?
To my knowledge, that has not been resolved, and it was, some residents may have been told there were grants available. At this point, there are no grants available, and nor have there been for some time. And everyone in Bellevue was billed, some paid, some didn't, and prior administrations chose to stop billing.
Okay, I'll tell you why I haven't paid my bill. Because there was an 11-year-old kid that measured the sidewalks and yelled the measurements to the gentleman in the truck. The sidewalks, my husband broke his leg when the sidewalks were put in. The sidewalks, after being in 6 months, are messed up. They replaced half, the other half should have been done. They put in a handicap part on my sidewalk and tore the handicap spot out on the other sidewalk. So what's the regulations for handicap sidewalks on public streets?
I have to look into that, I really don't know, and I'll have to look at your specific areas.
Yeah, because it was on the corner, there was one there, and they ripped it up and put one on my side.
Because that was before my time, so I will come in and look.
And I think the $6 for sidewalks on water bills is bull. I pay my taxes, I shouldn't have to pay $6 a month more to put for sidewalks in, which I'm being charged almost $1,500 for sidewalks. That's falling apart.
I understand.
Okay,
Thank you.
Chris Callahan.
My name is Chris Callahan, I live at 20 Mount Street. I have quite a few things to say. Some of them I will put off until a later point in time. First thing I would like to say is there's approximately 100 people in this room. Previous to this administration, there was less than 10% of you coming to town meetings. It's curious as to why now that this administration's here, we have such a large turnout. Why everyone wants to voice their opinion now. Where were we? Where were you when we were discussing all these issues, looking at all these issues, and why are you coming out now? As far as the water and sewer is concerned, there has been, correct me if I'm wrong, Augie, there have been 3 to 4 administrations that have went through water and sewer issues. That is a minimum of 12 mayors and commissioners. But yet this one mayor believes he has the solution to the problem. the other 12 were totally wrong every time they looked at it? I don't think so. Augie, you are 100% correct. As I sat out there many years ago and voiced my opinion, I do again now. However, there are things that I cannot speak of because of legal issues. Those legal issues, if this mayor has his way, will come out of each and every one of your pockets. And you have no idea how much that will cost this town. Mr. Newton, thank you. 100% thank you. Accurate. Mr. Bonneberger, you do a fantastic job for this town. Anyone that says otherwise is wrong. Is wrong. I noticed that the mayor brings his lawyer to a meeting. I'm kind of curious as to why the mayor brings his lawyer to the meeting, yet is represented by the town attorney as well. I can't quite understand where that conflict of interest lies, but I'm sure it's somewhere. He used the term may. No, he did not threaten us. It's a very lawyerish term. He may do something. Didn't say he will. Didn't say he won't. Very lawyerish term. Mayor Fisher, you had stated to someone just a few moments ago that if they were going to say something, to bring the facts. I'd like to know what your facts are of saving $300,000.
It's very simple. It's $2.11 times 500,000 gallon of water a day.
You
Very
speak,
simple.
but where are these written facts? I would love to see them. I know many other people would too.
I have a report to you.
Put it on the website.
The last thing I had to say is the removal for the petition for the removal of town administrator. Curious as to why now, after how many years on this job, Calvin? 5 years later, that this petition comes to fruition now? It's a really good question. Really good question. Wonder where it came from. Anybody got any ideas? Being facetious.
I'm not. This isn't a place to be facetious.
Well, no, it's not, because Calvin does a terrific job for this town. And anybody that thinks that he doesn't is wrong. I have many other, I'm sorry, I thought this was supposed to be my time, right, Keith?
That is correct. That is correct.
Bring it to referendum.
And I would agree, I will agree with you.
You're asking the audience questions.
You're asking us questions.
I'm just making statements.
You're asking a question.
That's right. I agree with
Clearing that up.
you. These meetings need to be run much, much better. We as citizens need to sit down and quit acting like kids ourselves, 100%, including myself, including Mr. Campbell, including Mr. Mummy, Mr. Pearson, and anyone else that stands up and speaks and says something out of turn. I 100% agree. And I'm wondering to myself, with this petition of the town administrator, maybe someone shouldn't start a petition for the removal of the mayor.
Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I find it curious, and this is not on my notes, the number of people that are here and the number of people that signed the petitions, both petitions, and only 220 people voted in the election. I find that very disturbing. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, and citizens of Rising Sun, I've been involved in Rising Sun government, its various organizations, since 2001. This has included 2 terms as commissioner, and during that time served as water and sewer, parks and recreation, streets and sidewalks, as a commissioner of those departments. I have also served as mayor. In addition, from 2001, I served on the police interview board as a member of the Citizens Comprehensive Planning Commission, as an election board judge, as a member of the Planning and Zoning Board. I'm a member of the Rising Sun Historical Preservation Commission and served as an advisor and then board member. I was treasurer of the 150th celebration. I was president 2 terms of the Rising Sun Chamber of Commerce. I was a member of the Citizen Advisory Board Comprehensive Plan Update. I'm also a member of James United Methodist Church. I have owned my home and paid taxes to the town as everybody else does. And I find it disturbing when people tell me I do not belong. I'm an outsider and should not be allowed to run for office. The reason given is, quote, "You were not born here." This past Monday, this quote was said to me, "You were not born here." I have been told, Mr. Mayor, that this is contributed to you and Mr. Campbell. The election is over. When are we, the residents of Rising Sun, going to have a mayor who spends his time being a mayor and put this town in a favorable light, instead of asking people to sign a petition to fire an employee of the town who has served this town in an exemplary manner? When did petitions become part of the employee handbook governing the employment of town employees? An ordinance is not subject to petition or referendum, and I believe that was stated by the legal counsel here tonight. Nor does he, no, he does not live here, but this is not required. Most of the town employees do not live in town. As a matter of fact, when the town interviewed for the position of town administrator, the interviews involved people as far away as the state of Washington, Massachusetts, Virginia, Texas, and other places. People who do this job are few in numbers and high in demand. Mr. Bonenberger was hired in 2007 at a salary increase over what the former town administrator was paid. I believe that was $65,000. He was paid that sum based on his qualifications, including code enforcement, which the town was paying at that time an additional employee. He accepted the increased responsibility, therefore saving the town part of that salary for that additional employee. As I recall, Mr. Fisher, neither you or Mr. Campbell, who wanted to run for an elected office, lived in town. You personally have not lived here for 12 years, and Mr. Campbell lived in Port Deposit. Mr. Bonenberger accepted your paperwork, which barely made you eligible to run for mayor. But I am not convinced, since you still maintain a home in Delaware and are seen commuting back and forth. For the past 5 years, Mr. Bonenberger has received pay increases, as all employees have, based on the budget approved by the Board of Commissioners. During his tenure, he has brought more than $1 million in grants to the town of Rising Sun. I have further financial figures that I'm afraid I won't have time to go into, which shows tremendous savings that he has made for the town involving the fringe benefits of our employees. He has saved this town lots of money on lots of issues that I would suggest to you probably exceed, in his 5 years, a $2 million figure. That is a good administrator. That is somebody qualified to be the town administrator. He has cultivated relationships with various agencies and vendors. That has been a benefit to the town. He has brought the town in below budget for the 5 years he has been here in a row. He has brought the town, he has improved the fiscal policies of the town to ensure we do not have another incident as we have suffered in the past. He is and was a key player in moving the water and sewer projects forward, a very valuable member of that committee. I know, because I served with him. He is highly respected in his field. Although all that he has done was approved by the elected body, he didn't do anything on his own. Everything he did, he brought to the elected body. The elected body voted on it, and they approved what he was doing. Did Mr. Berger do all this by himself? No, he did not. It was in cooperation with the elected officials. The elected body, of which 2 members are members of the board seated before us, they made the tough decisions facing the town, knowing they would not be popular, but the decisions were necessary. Through your association with certain individuals and statements you have made publicly and privately, agencies and financial institutions have become nervous and unsure of continually having dealings with this town. There is an atmosphere out there in the business community of which we need. They're not so sure they want to deal with this town. Why? The statements are being made publicly by the chief executive officer of the town. When will we see the elected body being able to focus on real problems? And when will we stop seeing your continuation of your personal vendetta? Thank you.
I would like to see your facts, Mr. Newman. Jeff Hoffman.
Well, I prepared a 3-minute presentation, so it's very brief. But not liking to speak in public and being very poor at being extemporaneous, I would like to at least set up my talk. My interests are a little broader because I don't really know the folks here that well. I'm getting, hopefully, to get to know people and to understand exactly what is going on. So let me just read what I prepared. Hopefully it'll have some relevance to what's going on, at least in your minds. I'd like to begin with a quote that I found from...
Did you introduce yourself and give your address?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Jeff Acaba. I live at 112 Turtleback Court. And I'm about 11 year resident of the town of Rising Sun. And I'd like to start with a quote from Robert C. Winthrop. He was the 22nd Speaker of the House of Representatives, and this speech was given on May 28th of, my eyes aren't too good, of 1849. All societies of men must be governed in some way or the other. The less they have of stringent state government, the more they must have of individual self-government. The less they rely on public law or physical force, the more they must rely on private moral restraint. Men, in a word, must necessarily be controlled either by a power within them or by a power without them, either by the word of God or by the